So this is our what we call our KSIS team. So they'll be covering this next topic.
All right, thank you. So I am, earlier you said I'm Kim Walters, and I am here to introduce the new and improved Kentucky end of the year checklist. The entire KSIS team, as you can see on the screen, has been working hard to update the Kentucky end of the year checklist to give you a one-stop, resource-filled guidance document. You can find it on the KDE KSIS webpage, which I am showing right now. If you go into the KSIS other information page, it is the very first document on the list. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And as you can see, it's changed a little bit from last year. We have included some Infinite Campus pathways, as well as some data quality reports that can help make sure your tasks are complete. The links go to either campus knowledge base articles for campus tools, such as this one, or quick reference cards for KDE reports, such as this one. We also included some state ad hocs. You can find some more information about the ad hocs on the state published ad hoc filters document listed at the top of this checklist. As you can see, all these general reference documents are also on the KSIS other information page. So now I will hand it off to Jennifer Winburn to talk about the next year calendar section, or next year calendar and student enrollment section.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jennifer Winburn, and I'm happy to be a part of the KSIS team. So we're going to go through a few of our tasks for new year calendar and student enrollment. Some of these items were covered earlier by our Office of Operations team, Josh, Jesse, and Laura. But we always want to start out to make sure that districts have already already have rolled forward their calendars for next year. This is something that is usually done early in the mid winter range. So make sure if you click on actually the calendar wizard, which Kim showed you earlier, it will go to the knowledge base article, which will take you through each step and give you the definitions of which types of calendar roll forward modes there are. So it's a great way to keep, well, we hope this is a great document to ensure all of the links are in line for you to use. One thing we want to remind you, though, is the data quality reports are there to ensure the setup is correct. So you can use your calendar edit report, and that will show you how many days you have in each of your school months. It'll show you your days reported as such as opening, closing, makeup, professional development days, and holidays. The calendar summary report is a totally awesome report coming from the district that I use quite often. It shows you the number of school days you have in your calendar and then your overall hours. That way you make sure you're within your 1,062 required hours, and it also will report for you any additional time that you have in your calendar. So after you've done your calendar roll forward, then you're ready for your enrollment roll forward. In this process, we'll walk you through rolling forward your students' current enrollments into the next school year calendar. You can verify that you've done this correctly with the two reports that I have on the screen for you. The enrollment summary report, just a tidbit, when you're using the enrollment summary report in the next school year calendar, you'll need to change the effective date to be the first day of your school year. So that's just a little tidbit. And then we have the enrollment loss report. This is a report you can use towards the later part of your school year when you need to see how many students were enrolled with you for the current year who are not going to be with you next year. Now, this is only looking for enrollments from one school calendar to the next, so just a tidbit on that. Also, a part of your calendar and your student enrollment is your students that need to be marked as retained students. So each school year, you'll want to decide how that's going to be done. I know districts do it a little different. They'll do it within the school, or they do it as a district level. sysadmin does it for the whole district. But those students will need their end action set to retained in the 21-22 school year enrollment. And then in the 22-23 enrollment, you'll want to verify that their grade is the same. We recently published a new ad hoc that will be able to, after you marked your students retained, you'll be able to run this ad hoc, and it will show you all the students that have a retention. You can use that quickly to verify their grade by using the advanced search feature under student. That way you can, one, make sure your retained students are listed correctly, and then their grade level is correct. Moving on down, we're going to talk a little bit about rolling forward those kids continuously throughout the spring. So after you do your initial roll forward, you will want to continue to roll forward those students to gather those students that enrolled with you, let's say in March and April. One other thing that you'll want to do is your enrollment cleanup wizard. This is vital. You'll want to do this prior to end dating your students. So after the school year is completed, no more, enrollments are being updated. You'll want to you'll want to use the cleanup wizard. That is going to remove any future enrollments in the next calendar of students that withdrew during this current school year. So that's why you want to do this prior to end dating your students. Another thing that will need to be done is, of course, your transportation roll forward. You'll take the current transportation code of this school year and move it forward to your next school year. This wizard has the knowledge base article attached to it. It lists for you step by step, selecting the school, selecting the next calendar, and then using the effective date so that you get that latest code. Just a FYI, it's recommended that you verify your T codes twice a year just to make sure that they are up to date and the most current. So we're going to talk just a smidge about the Kentucky enrollment update. So as you are rolling forward those enrollments, you may be doing this in January and February. The state reporting part of the enrollment tab may change due to a student's special ed status changing, just some of the anomalies that happen after you roll forward. This script can be run by submitting a campus ticket. And I believe Holly's going to speak a little more about that later in the presentation. So moving real quick into student enrollment cleanups, all students that have a start status of an E98, those need to be cleaned up before you start your SAR process. So no student should have an E98 as a start status. You can use your enrollment status report to find those E98 students, and we need to update that. And I will do that to add that report. Another thing to do is that state enrollment overlap report. Laura spoke about this earlier and how each district needs to ensure that there are no students with an overlap between districts. If you see an overlap, you need to reach out to that district contact, and you all need to work together to look at the actual enrollment in one district to make sure the end date is correct in the next district. One other report David actually talked about was the W-22 withdrawn students. You'll want to make sure that all students that have a W-22 withdrawn end status code has a sequential enrollment in another Kentucky school district. And this report is looking to see a student that has a W-22 code and do they have a records transfer from another district that is sequential. So that report is a great report. It's actually a quick reference card report that is under KDE reports. If you click on the link when you have your checklist pulled up and you're working through, thanks Kim, you will see that the QRC will give you exactly what the report's going to do. It's going to tell you who to contact if you have issues or you're having trouble validating this report. It has a pathway, gives you a report sample, but then the best thing is the suggested report usages. So you can ensure that your data is as clean as it possibly can be by using those suggested report usage. So I'm now going to turn it over to Crystal, and she's going to discuss with us the grades reports, post grades, transcripts, e-transcripts, and dates and end statuses. Talk about a mouthful. Are you ready, Crystal?
I am. Thank you, Jen. So when getting started with grades and transcripts, you want to first work with the schools to make sure all grades are posted and the transcripts are finalized. That's an important first step for you to follow. And then after confirming that, you can upload in progress e-transcripts to Parchment for all students except for the graduates. Just a reminder, colleges will not accept transcripts from seniors without a diploma date, so you need to make sure to use the enrollment in batch tool to assign graduates an enrollment end date and end status and diploma date, type, and period. This should be done by mid-June. At this point, you can upload final e-transcripts to Parchment and then use the enrollment in status validation reports to confirm all the other high school students' enrollments have an in status. And then last but not least, be sure to roll forward those reports using the report roll forward tool. This tool eliminates the need for you to recreate the same reports in multiple calendars. Short but sweet, that is about it for working with grades and transcripts.
And we are ready to start talking about our end of the year report submission. So this is going to be kind of a bit of a round robin with our teammates. So just bear with us as we go through. We mentioned earlier the calendars and those being submitted to Josh Whitlow. If you have need more information about submitting the actual calendar, running the report, verifying that the information is correct, we've linked for you the current year amended guidance and then the upcoming school year guidance. So the links will take you right there, and then they have step-by-step instructions as to running your calendar edit report, then running your calendar summary report to make sure your dates are correct. Josh talked about earlier that the school months, and of course the school months can be 20 or only 20 days, and they cannot have any overlapping, and they need to be subsequential, excuse me, I can't say that word this morning. So that report will help you make sure that that information is correct. Those reports need to be submitted by June 30th. And Kathy is going to talk to us about English learners.
Thanks, Jen. Hi, everyone. I'm Kathy Kurtz, and I'm going to be going over some of the end of year reports. Just because they're categorized as an end of year report, these reports need to be ran throughout the year for data quality. You know, you don't want to be in June starting to work on these and you have nobody back at the schools to help you with that. So it is a great idea to go ahead and run these reports throughout your school year, keep your data quality high. But the first one I want to talk about is the English Learner Extract. Now, this report is not a submitted report, but the data will be pulled by KDE on or after July 1st. So the English Learners Extract will generate an error/warnings page first for any errors in regard to EL services, EL accommodations, and if an EL student has a home language of English, big no-no. So after you generate the extract, you need to compare your final English learners data to the QA English learners report. It is highly recommended that you go over this data with your district EL coordinator. All errors must be corrected and data verified before the data is pulled on July 1st. And with that, I will turn it over to Hillary.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hillary Morton. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the Gifted and Talented report. Kathy Anderson is the state contact for Gifted and Talented, and she sends out 2 surveys. One of the reports that you can run is the QA Gifted and Talented report. It will let you know whether or not your students are going to count on that. And we have a few ad hocs that we have listed here that you can also run. And the last thing that we use as a tool is the data validation report that you can find within your district edition of Infinite Campus. And what it does is it compares your state number or the state numbers to the district numbers to make sure that everything is synced properly to the state edition, which is where Kathy pulls the final numbers. And that is pretty much it. If you have any questions, of course, you can always contact me or you can contact Kathy Anderson. And from here, I will turn it back over to you, Jen.
So health reports, there's several different health reports that are submitted at the end of the school year. The contact for all health student services is Angie McDonald, or I can help you as well. But when you're looking at your health reports, we have linked the web page for student health services. You'll be able to find the documentation as far as entering in all health information into campus on that web page. As you are working with your school nurses, your district health coordinators, you need to ensure that all of the health data is entered prior to June 30th. So they will pull the information, they as in the Angie McDonald and her team will pull the health information around June 30th. Just a FYI, you may want to go ahead and reach out to your nurses and to your district health coordinator to ensure that they are entering in the information into Infinite Campus. That way they have some time to get it in before the end of the school year. So some of the reports that you can run in Infinite Campus, we have a link in the knowledge base to them are the health alerts conditions. That's going to list for you all of the health conditions that have been entered into your Infinite Campus, your Kentucky immunization certificates, and then your student health screening report. Those are all vital reports for you to use as you are working with your student health information. And I think Kathy is up with our homeless.
Homeless children and youth count. Your QA homeless report. Once again, this is not a submitted report, but it is pulled by KDE on or after July 1st. OCIS presented a great presentation this morning about this, but I just want to hit a few highlights. On the detail report, it will highlight errors regarding a student's economic disadvantage status. All homeless students must be identified as free lunch. If they are not, then errors will show up in yellow. There are also two state published ad hocs. The first one is the homeless record missing for transfer students. And this will show you the students that were marked homeless in a previous district, but they are missing a homeless record in your district. The other one is the homeless record prior year, but not selected year. This ad hoc will show students that were identified last year as homeless in your district, but not the current school year. Doesn't mean that's really an error. You just want to run that report to make sure and go with your homeless coordinator just to make sure that those students really are not homeless again in the next year. All errors must be corrected and data verified before 7/1. We'll just move straight on into the immigrant report. This report is the Title III immigrant report. The detailed report will highlight errors in yellow, and errors for that report could be the date entered a U.S. school is blank, or the date entered in a U.S. school is greater than 3 years. I would also check with your district's immigrant coordinator for data quality to go over this report. Once again, this report is not submitted, or you don't have to submit it anywhere. It will be pulled by KDE on or after July 1st. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Crystal.
Thanks, Kathy. So the KEYS documentation should be submitted to KHEAA by June 30th. There are a lot more details provided if you click on the KEYS documentation link in this checklist. But if you have any additional questions, you can email Roxanne Lewis at KHEAA with further questions. And back to you, Jen.
So one of my favorite topics is the SAR report. Just a reminder, the SAR report will not be submitted this year, but you need to go ahead and walk through all of the data quality reports and using the SAR application user guide to ensure all data is entered correctly and it is cleaned up. One thing I want to touch base about real quick is just because we have these reports in the end of the year checklist doesn't mean that they should just be run at the end of the year. So your state enrollment overlap report, your missing enrollment your schedule gaps, and then your funding gap audit reports, I would advise you to run those every couple weeks or at least once a month. That will save you a ton of time when it comes time to work with your SAR data to clean it up. Moving forward, just the task under SAR report, we have several different items. We have the application user guide, and then we have the SAR definitions. Take a moment to review those definitions. I think it'll really help you when you start running your data quality reports to pull your SAR information. And then, of course, the SAR application KDE guide is for the new, SAR system that you'll be using next year that Laura talked about and how much user-friendly it's going to be. You'll be able to gather your previous submitted reports for growth factor and SAR. And then there's a SAR application workflow graphic that is there, and that will show you how you're going to take your Infinite Campus information and import it into the SAR application. Great document. So when you're working and you're processing and getting ready for that SAR report, again, those state enrollment overlap, the schedule gap, and then your funding gap audit report. Work with those at least monthly. It will save you time at the end of the school year. But then prior to submitting your SAR report, you'll need to make sure all students have an enrollment in status. The report is a quick reference report, so it'll give you the steps and it'll actually show you what the report looks like in that quick reference guide. Overage, underage report is a campus report, and then expulsion attendance report is also a campus report that you'll need to run to ensure. The state published ad hocs for T codes, non-resident contract, partial day, and audit of your home hospital will also need to be ran to ensure that the data is correct. One thing about our state published ad hocs is if you are the sysadmin and you need your home hospital coordinator to be able to run the audit home hospital report, you'll need to you'll need to copy that state published ad hoc and place it in a folder that they have access to. So just because it says state published ad hoc doesn't mean like it's only for one or two people. We want anybody and everybody who work with those program areas to have access to it. So copy those to another location so that they can be able to work with those. All right, so a lot about the SAR, and I apologize for taking up all that time, but Kathy's up with Safe Schools.
Thanks, Jen. The Safe Schools report, it generates all the behavior data for your district. Once again, you do not have to submit this report. It will be pulled by KDE on or before July 1st, but your district will have to submit a verification of data from your superintendent and also your director of special education for the Safe Schools data to be completed for your district. The report will generate errors and warning page first. Common errors are resolutions without an end date, or the start or end date, or time is outside of an enrollment. When you have all those errors corrected, you can then generate the extract. Then you can filter it. You can filter it by events. You can filter it by resolutions, compare it to your school data. You could see, oh, I don't think we had that many assaults. Then you can go through there. You can filter it by assaults just to see how many you had, and then go back and you can check in Infinite Campus on that student's record. The behavior data standards, that gives a very great detailed step-by-step directions for the Safe Schools report and how to correct any errors listed. And with that, I will send it back to Hillary.
Hello. So the next three reports all are, they pertain to special education. Amy Patterson is the state contact for special education. So the first one, the special education indicator 11, 12, and 13, or the special education evaluation detail report. This report pulls special education evaluations that have occurred during the selected calendar year, and Amy Patterson will be emailing all the directors of special educations or DOSes within the next week, and they are submitted to KDE by July 1st. The special education discipline, we do have a few quality assurance reports, such as the restraint or seclusion error report, the QA SPED report, which is short for QA special education, and the Tableau visualizations, the behavior count days removed. And for the Kentucky State reporting, you can also pull the Safe Schools report. This report looks for accuracy for special education students that were removed for more than 10 days for behavior reasons. And the Safe Schools data is pulled at KDE also on July the 1st. The last report is the special education exit report. The QA SPED report is the quality assurance report that you want to run for that. And then the report itself is the special ed exit report. And that's also under the Kentucky State reporting report. It's submitted to KDE by July 15th. Districts should be checking for special education exit dates outside the school year, students that have a disability category of DD, and making sure the special ed exit reason and statuses are accurate. And from there, I will turn it over to you, Kim.
Thank you, Hillary. So the next thing we're going to talk about is school report card data quality. It is best to verify your data early before the active year change to help ensure all data syncs to the state edition. This data assurance worksheet will actually contain most of the reports that we've already kind of gone over. So if you're doing them as you go, you probably don't have a lot to change, but it definitely is a good thing to work on before the active year change. And we get to staff information and records. Crystal.
Thanks, Kim. When wrapping up staff information for the year, you should end date all district employment and district assignment records of staff who have left the district. After end dating, you'll receive a prompt asking if you want to end all of those district assignments. Be sure to click yes, so you do not have to go in and individually end date all of those district assignments one by one. Afterwards, you can update district assignment records for staff who change roles or assignments within the district, but you do not want to delete assignment records. Always end date an assignment and then create a new assignment record as needed. And next, I believe Lisa is going to talk to us about user rights.
Lisa, we can't hear you.
That would be because Lisa forgot to turn her mic back on because I had it covered up with another screen. Sorry. Thank you, Jen. When you end date your district employment records and assignments, there is an automatic option available that will disable the user accounts for you without you having to go do this step individually. That is under the account security preferences, and it's called automatically disable accounts after staff member is no longer employed by the district. And that's going to look for that district employment record to be ended and all assignments before it end dates them. So you don't have to worry about somebody moves schools and it's going to take their account away. It's only going to be if they're totally gone. But you can run this quality report, the active user account access, to look for people who have not been using their user account. So it's only going to pull ones that are active, but it's going to show you the last time the account was used. It will show you the district end date column, so you can tell that you've end dated the person, but they've still got an active account. So you can pull that into Excel and filter on those various columns to look for specific data, such as the end date is not blank, so they're gone. You probably want to disable that. You should disable that account because stale accounts are dangerous and can be picked up by somebody else and used. And you're looking for logins this month, potentially is 0. That doesn't mean somebody's totally gone. If they just haven't logged in this month, especially if it's a district level employee. So think about it before you disable that account, but look and see how long it's been since they've used their account. There is a specific date as the last login. You'll also, at the end of the year, want to update your calendar tool rights in your calendar groups. So everybody has a current year set up, and you'll need to change the year to the new year as you're ready to roll forward. And you'll go back to your previous groups and add the year that just finished as a read-only year to that group, so that you've shift that through. And you'll also want to review tool rights for anyone who's changed roles in the district and update accordingly. If their job has changed, they will need different access. And Jen's going to go do point of sale for us.
So point of sales, you'll need to reach out and work with your food service department. All of these tasks are done in coordination with your food service department. So turning off your POS, import, export from campus to your food service vendor needs to happen prior to July 1. The point of sales program also needs to roll forward while you are not sending data back and forth. Then there's one biggie that you'll need to make sure you do inside of Infinite Campus, and that's the eligibility import wizard. You want to change the mapping so that it's mapping to the new school year coming up. So that's, 22-23 will be the new school year mapping. So just double check that. I just want to make sure that everybody kind of highlights this little part, because coming from a district, I will tell you, I did not change that one time, and it took a little work with campus. So that was a lesson learned that I always want to point out to others. So once those 3 steps are done, then again, work with that food service department, and you all will coordinate when you want to turn your imports and exports back on. And I guess finishing up it with active year is Holly.
Thank you, Jen. Yes, I'm going to touch on active year. Jen mentioned this earlier, but we want to run the Kentucky enrollment script before we change the active year. So this is done by Infinite Campus. This must be requested by the district by submitting a case to campus. Once this has been done, the active year can be changed by going to System Administration, Calendars, and then School Years. This is also a good time to update campus portal preferences. So you can do this by going to System Administration, Portal, Preferences, Display Options. The link to the document will take you to another document that has the specific steps on how to do this in Infinite Campus. There have been several features added to Campus Portal, one of which it was previously controlled by active year, but now you have the option to see different calendars along with other new preferences. And that concludes our presentation today. So are there any questions?
Well, there were a few questions, but we've gone over a little bit. So I'm going to, for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and just let those continue to be answered in Go Soapbox. There were just a few. There weren't many questions. And I want to say I appreciate all of you all doing that. For all of you who are wondering why we did this as a round robin, I'm losing my voice. It is because all of these folks that you're seeing here today represent part of this. We support the KDE program area's support of you. So when you're looking at getting new reports, things like that, to make, to hopefully make your jobs a little bit easier, these folks are very much involved in that and trying to do it. Many of them have been in your shoes before, so they've worked in schools, and that is definitely helpful as we do this kind of work. We're always open to suggestions. They're glad to have you reach out to them, provide we don't supersede the program area. They're still the first point of contact. But I want to say how much I appreciate all that they do and thank them for this presentation.